Today, we hear names like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos as the richest people in the world. But there's something you don't know. Their wealth is nothing but pebbles compared to the richest man in history. This man was so wealthy that a single journey of his collapsed the economy of an entire country. So, who was this forgotten ruler? By the way, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to History Below. Let's continue. Imagine the world of the 1320s, a time when the edges of maps were still blank, the interior of Africa remained unknown, and gold was considered the most valuable power in the world. In those years, an empire rose in the heart of West Africa whose wealth overshadowed even the billionaire names we hear today. And at the head of this empire stood a ruler known as the richest man in history, Mansa Musa. When Musa ascended the throne of the Mali Empire in 1312, he was already sitting on considerable power. But during his reign, Mali became not just Africa's, but the world economy's true heartbeat, because the land his empire rested upon was at the very center of the richest gold deposits in sub-Saharan Africa. At that time, the world revolved around the value of gold. From trade routes to royal taxes, everything was measured in gold. And in Musa's lands, this precious metal flowed almost as if it were limitless. Along with gold, salt, ivory, and the caravan routes that stretched across the entire Sahara were under Mali's control. This commercial dominance steadily expanded the empire's treasury. Musa, however, was not merely someone who managed wealth, he was also a skilled administrator who upheld order. By keeping local leaders under firm control, he ensured internal stability. By strengthening the taxation system, he centralized economic power. This transformed Mali into not just a regional force, but a globally strategic one. But the event that engraved Mansa Musa's name into world history was his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. Setting out on this journey out of devotion to Islam, he inadvertently created what may be the richest procession the world has ever seen. With thousands of soldiers, hundreds of servants, and 100 camels loaded with tons of pure gold, Musa astonished every city he passed through. When he arrived in Cairo, the city was practically showered in gold. Gold was handed out in the streets, massive donations were given to mosques, and luxurious shopping sprees continued one after another. The result of this extravagant generosity was an event rarely seen in history. The value of gold in Cairo dropped, and inflation exploded. Mansa Musa's distribution of gold impacted the market so heavily that it took Cairo's economy 12 full years to stabilize again. Few examples exist in history where the wealth of a single person was enough to collapse the economy of an entire nation. On his return from the pilgrimage, Musa didn't simply complete a religious duty. He also brought scholars, architects, and artists with him. With their contributions, Timbuktu quickly became Africa's cultural and scientific center. The Sankore Madrasa began to be regarded as one of the world's most important educational institutions. Libraries were opened, new mosques were built. Under Musa's vision, West Africa gained the identity of a true knowledge empire. But like every great rise, Mali's golden age was not eternal. The rulers who came after Musa could not maintain his political wisdom. Central authority weakened, trade routes shifted, and local leaders began acting independently. Internal turmoil eroded the empire's strength, while European powers noticed the fragmentation deep within Africa and seized the opportunity for colonial expansion. At the Berlin Conference of 1884, Africa's fate was divided among European states with ruler-drawn borders, without ever consulting Africans themselves. The once prosperous lands of Mali gradually became extraction zones for foreign powers. Today, When Africa is often associated with images of poverty, those who know Musa's era understand this is an illusion. The continent's history includes some of the world's greatest centers of trade and culture. Mansa Musa's story is one of the most striking examples of this forgotten wealth and intentionally obscured heritage. He was not only a ruler who governed gold, but a visionary who placed knowledge, culture, and justice at the foundation of his empire. And perhaps that's why the billionaires, whose names dominate today's lists, remain merely a point of comparison beside him. The true richest man in history is still him.